Hello and welcome. In this fun listening test, you will be exposed to a variety of short audio clips, ranging from very easy, beginner, to challenging and difficult. This video features a variety of accents, so you can test how good you are at comprehending different dialects. The clips are of varying lengths, and there will be a set of quick questions, mostly multiple choice, after each clip. The answer key is also on the video itself, so you can score yourself. Give yourself 1 point for every correct answer. Try to answer the questions after listening to each clip only once. If you absolutely must, you can re-listen one more time. Use chapter headings to easily jump backwards to the beginning of a clip. However, try not to listen more than 3 times, as this is intended to test your current natural listening skills. Do not worry too much about getting every question right, as the aim is to have fun with English. How does that sound? Okay, if you are ready, here is the first clip. Take a deep breath, sit back, relax, and pause if you feel the need to do it.
Okay, Neil, tell me about where you live. Do you live in a flat or a house?
I live in a house, in a terraced house. That means there are houses attached on either side.
I also live in a terraced house. Do you like living in a terraced house?
No. I would rather have a detached house, a house not connected to other houses.
Yeah, I agree. I think, of course, it would be nice to have a bigger house, but also sometimes in a terraced house, you can hear people through the walls.
Yeah.
And I sing a lot, and I don't like that my neighbours can probably hear me singing.
Question 1. A terraced house is a house with a huge garden, has houses attached on either side, is like a detached house is the speaker's dream home. Question 2. Which of the following is not true about the female speaker? She also lives in a terraced house. She sings very rarely. She too prefers a detached house.
I like some reality TV. So, for example, we have a show in the UK called The Great British Bake Off, where real people compete with making cakes and biscuits and that kind of thing. And I like that show, but I'm not really a big fan of other reality shows like dating shows and Big Brother, that sort of thing.
Have you ever been obsessed with a TV show where you just cannot stop watching or talking about it?
Not recently. When I was younger, I really liked some big American TV shows and I was addicted to them because they had really big cliffhangers. That means at the end of the episode, there was a big shock and I couldn't wait to watch the next one.
A few years ago, there were lots of dramas from Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark, and I was obsessed with some of those.
Question 3. Which show does the female speaker enjoy watching? The Apprentice, The Dragon's Den, The EastEnders, The Great British Bake Off. Question 4. Scandinavian dramas are made in the USA, Denmark, Japan, Russia.
Do you have any idea how many verbs you can use with idea? There are a lot. You can have an idea, which we often say when you're suddenly inspired. Or you can have no idea, which means you don't know. What time does the show start? I have no idea. I have an idea. Let's call and ask. If an idea pops into your head, you suddenly have an idea. Ooh, an idea just popped into my head. We could go to that Chinese restaurant before the show. If you dream up an idea, you have a silly or unusual idea. Trust you to dream up an idea like that. We're vegetarian, we don't eat chicken. You can put forward an idea, which means suggest an idea. This is often used in a more formal context, like work. I'd like to put forward an idea, if I may. We could hire a freelancer for the graphics.
Question 5. If you blank an idea, you have a silly or unusual idea. Pop in, raise, dream up, buy into. Question 6. The phrase to put forward an idea is an informal phrase, a formal phrase, a colloquial phrase.
President Donald Trump has started his second term as president with lots of executive orders about what he wants to do.
Executive orders are written orders which don't require Congress, that's the US lawmaking institution, to approve them.
Among Trump's first acts as president are starting to withdraw from the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Agreement, which is an international agreement to fight climate change.
He also threatened to put tariffs on Chinese, Canadian and Mexican goods. Tariffs are fees for importing goods. And Trump reversed many of the previous President Joe Biden's policies.
Let's have our first headline. Donald Trump vows new golden age for US as he moves to unwind Joe Biden era. And that's from the Financial Times in the UK.
Question 7. Which of the following did President Donald Trump not do? Start to withdraw from the WHO, sign lots of executive orders, reverse many of Joe Biden's policies, inaugurate a new oil refinery in Philadelphia. Question 8. Which of the following newspapers is mentioned in the clip? The Financial Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Daily Mail.
Today we go back to January 1976 and the death at the age of 85 of the best-selling novelist of all time, Queen of Crime, the creator of Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, Agatha Christie.
The dining room at Wallingford, which is where she died, had a moderate-sized circular dining room table, and my grandfather put all the letters that we all received in the middle of the dining room table. And by the time of the funeral, there was a sort of huge pile of these letters. I mean, it wasn't just sort of filled in one layer. And I remember him looking sort of slightly desperately at me and saying, "Look at those, Matthew," he said, "and not an unkind word."
Matthew Pritchard, Agatha Christie's only grandchild.
Question 9. At what age did the illustrious novelist Agatha Christie pass away? 65, 75, 85, 95. Question 10. What is the name of Agatha Christie's only grandchild? Hercule Poirot, Matthew Pritchard, Arnold Robbins, Sherlock Holmes. Question 11. What was placed on the dining table? The awards that Christie received: a huge pile of letters, a compendium of her complete works.
Hear me out. Is it possible that doom scrolling predates smartphones? In 2020, the year of our misery, the good old Oxford English Dictionary added doom scrolling and named it a word of the year. There's this theory that once upon a time, when caves were prime real estate, it seemed like everything was going to kill us. So prioritising the bad stuff was a lifesaver. So knowing that there are yummy mushrooms near a tree is great, but if there were killer insects on the same tree, that's the real information you need to get into your head immediately. From an evolutionary perspective, it's more important to survive than to thrive. And so, hey presto, we have a negativity bias. It's basically a survival mechanism. Study after study shows that we focus on the negative more than the positive. Psychologists have noted that losing $50 consistently elicits a greater emotional response than gaining $50.
Question 12. What, according to the speaker, predates smartphones? Apple AirPods, a tendency to think positively, a tendency to favour hard-bound books, doom scrolling. Question 13. Which of the following is not mentioned on the clip? Yummy mushrooms, smartphones, evolution, dinosaurs.
What is the title of this week's story?
Beaks and bloody battles.
Beaks being bird beaks.
Bird beaks.
Bird beaks.
Is there a different type of beak?
There is no. Do you know what? I'm reflecting. There isn't really. No.
No, you sometimes refer to someone's mouth as a beak.
I've never.
Well, that's just a bird mouth.
Yeah. Who's bird mouth? Yeah, that's somebody who's got bird mouth. You know, you got people who got like a cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
This person's got bird mouth.
Yeah, like duck lips. That's when people get too much like filler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's about Australia's obsession with plastic surgery.
Are we anywhere near?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
In 1922, the Australian government purchased 90,000 hectares of marginal farmland in Western Australia. The idea was to offer it to the First World War veterans as part of a settlement scheme whereby they could grow wheat and make a living for themselves. But thanks to a certain flightless bird, things were about to go very, very sour very, very fast.
Question 14. Which of the following do the speakers humorously make a reference to? The increasing price of air travel, the rise of dating-based reality TV, Australia's obsession with plastic surgery. Question 15. According to the clip, in 1922, the Australian government purchased what? Ammunition, island, farmland, flightless birds.
May I remind us both of the consequences of treating her like dirt? Yes, like dirt. of taking personal credit of her life and mind, and reducing her to an inert, exploitable, pollutable thing, to a mere space platform to which alien but highly superior beings are clinging. Gaying unconscious is at least as harmful at our planetary level as any other. I say gaying unconscious because it wasn't as long ago when Mother Earth was experienced as not only being alive, but venerated as holy.
Question 16. What is the clip about? Agriculture, Mother Earth, alchemy journalism. Question 17. True or false? The speaker's attitude towards the planet is one of awe and respect. True, false, both.
So in every country, there is evidence that on average, people respond more to negative information than to positive information.
You were seeing, on average, a much stronger response from people physiologically to negative stories than positive stories. What do you think the impact of an increased heart rate, the impact of kind of increased sweating, what is that actually doing to us?
I mean, there is evidence, particularly from psychology, that kind of consuming an endless stream of negative information is associated with depression, for instance. If we ask people about their news consumption and we ask them about their psychological state, and we find both depression and negative news consumption, we don't really know which one led to the other. So it might be that media is driving it, or it might be that media is a reflection of a pre-existing psychological state. We might sometimes look to media for confirmation that other people feel the way we do. So for instance, in that first year and perhaps beyond of the pandemic, I think a lot of us were looking to media, consuming negative information, and that negative information actually was psychologically helpful. Like knowing that other people were in the same situation that we were. We're seeing other people trapped indoors in the pandemic, and that makes it, that kind of can build a sense of community, even though the information is not itself positive.
Do you think our stronger reaction to negative information compared to positive information is a biological thing, or is it a cultural thing, or is it some complicated interaction of both?
It's almost invariably a complicated interaction of what I would say is biological and contextual. And I'm saying contextual rather than cultural because I think, culture is part of that context, but everything else is part of that context as well. All the information that's coming in over the course of not just our lifetimes, but our day is affecting that. So if you wake up in the morning and the coffee machine works and the sink works and the bus to work works, then that's all kind of marginally positive input. But if you get up in the morning and your coffee maker is broken and brown water comes out of the sink and there's a bus strike and you have to walk to work, then that probably affects your reaction to the information in our experiment as well. So we have biological tendencies that, like almost any domain in which we study biology and evolution, that are constantly interacting with context over the long term and over the very short term as well.
Question 18. According to the expert, we look to the media for confirmation for what? That other people feel the way we do. That we are all rich and prosperous, that we are better than most other people. Question 19. True or false, people respond more to positive information than negative information? True, false, both. Question 20. Consuming an endless stream of negative information is associated with what? Loneliness, anxiety, being scared, depression.
And that's it. Now it's time to add up your final score out of 20. If your score is between 15 to 20, congrats. That is a truly impressive score. This means your English is C1 to C2, meaning either advanced or near native level. Good job. If your score is between 5 and 15, your current English level is probably B1 to B2, which means intermediate level. If your score is below 5, you are probably beginner level. Whatever your score, do not despair. Instead, pat yourself on the back for taking some time today to improve your English. Did I tell you how proud I am of you for simply showing up and watching this video and participating in this rather challenging test? Congrats again, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.